Okay, I'm going to show you how to finish your stocking without a cuff. Now, I know I already had you turn it right side out, so I've made a note in the last video to don't turn it right side out if you're doing the cuffless version, because we need to keep it like this. Now, this is the outside of the stocking. Make sure you, here's the heel, and there's the toe. It's still kind of in from me turning it back. So when you take your hanger, make sure you do it on the side with the heel. And we're going to sew it here, centered on this side seam, and I'm going to go back and forth a few times. And I'm sewing close to the edge. It'll be within that seam. And now I take my lining and this one I turn right side out. I made sure to get my curvy toed lining. I'm going to make sure I have the heels on the same side as I put this inside the exterior of the stocking. Next, I'm going to match up the side seams. And for this stage, I like to use sewing clips instead of pins, but you can use pins as well. And I go to the other side seam and I clip that. And this next step is easier if you can pull off part of your sewing machine as a free arm, but if not, you can still sew it. You would just sew from the inside, whereas I'm gonna sew from the outside. So I am going to continue clipping these two layers together all the way around, except for on one side where I will leave a turning gap. And you're going to want this gap to be large enough that you can stick your hand in later on. I've got to do a little cleaning up of all this lint. Okay, so when I start sewing, here, let me clean things up a bit for myself here. Okay, when I start sewing, I make sure to back stitch, and when I sew over this hanger loop, I also am going to go over it, back, and over it again. Okay, and now I generally don't trim this seam. Sometimes if I feel like it's very thick right here, I will trim this just a little bit. And now I'm going to start pulling it through this hole. I still have it turned partially right side out from before, so this is not too bad. And I can use my point turner tool, the round part and the pointy part if I need to push the heel out and the toe a little bit, the curvy part. Now I'm going to turn the lining back inside out. And push it into place. This is sometimes where I run into a little bit of trouble because I've got to get this inside and push that curvy spot up to right here. Sometimes it doesn't want to go into place. Okay, I think I finally got it flat, and now I just have to push it up into place. Okay, so I've pushed it up pretty far because it goes all the way to this outer this toe. It should be flat. I'm gonna have to work on this a little bit more, but I want to keep going to show you how to finish the top, and then I'll come back and work on, well, yeah, then I'll come back and work on this a little more. Actually, what I might do is reach down in between the layers and see if I can get it to lay a little flat, because that's the struggle. I'm not sure if that helped or hurt. That helped. Now it's flat all the way up here. And if you try to bend the toe, yeah, you can see that that the inside ends right here. But in general, once the stocking is all finished and flat, you're not going to notice. So now I'm going to go back up to this top layer, top edge, and I'm going to get this top edge how I want it to be. Because the seam, there. I'm going to use clips to hold the edge in place all the way around. And I'm going to lengthen my stitch a bit to top stitch. I'm using a blue hanger so you can see it really well. Okay, and I'm going to turn in the top edge, both the lining and the exterior, 3/8 of an inch or centimeter. It is ready to be sewn. Once again, this is easier with my free arm, but if I didn't have the free arm, I would just probably sew from the inside, or I would bend it like that to be able to sew it from the outside. Have it, putting that back on. Be careful going over that thick part with the hanger. My machine gave me a little extra thread on the inside. I'm probably going to go back and fix that, but and now at this point you can iron it flat if you're using fabric that can be ironed. This can be if I iron it carefully, or sometimes you just need to use a cover cloth. So that is what the stocking looks like without a cuff, and this is the curly toe version, and this is the finished stocking.